time zone, Gen Friends, and welcome to CrossGen Friends, your gaming, pop culture, and tech podcast with a multi-generation point of view. I'm Byron Miller, and with me, as always, is Joe LaRussa. How are you today, Joe?
I am doing all right, Byron. I am operating in a lower capacity of internet right now, so we'll see how this goes. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I do have a question for you this week. First, what is your happy place?
My happy place is Christmas decorations. I'm not a huge Christmas decoration fan, but I love getting the tree up. It makes the house smell good. And I guess it brings back good childhood memories. So we got that up last weekend and it is fully decorated. And then I have my own very special Christmas decoration that I put up every year. And so let me pull this up for the people who are watching on YouTube. This is my Christmas nativity set. It's a hipster nativity set, and it actually has something in common where you and I used to work. I was in Palm Springs at a conference with Jamie Pagels, if you remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out and we had a few things to drink. And this had popped up on my Facebook or something feed. And I showed it to her, and we both agreed we were going to buy it. And we did. And she set it up every year for 2 or 3 years. And then I think taste got better of her and she stopped setting it up. But I continue to set it up every year. For those who aren't on YouTube, uh, the nativity set is of hipsters, and Joseph and Mary are with baby Jesus. Baby Jesus is the only one who is not parodied in this. Mary has duck lips. She's holding Starbucks and doing the peace sign. And Joseph is doing a selfie of the two of them and Jesus in the manger. The manger's got solar panels. The shepherd is Instagramming the scene with a sheep who's wearing a sweater and 100% organic cow. And the three wise men are all hipsters who are on Segways carrying Amazon boxes. And
I
my
interpreted
wife,
them as hipster Amazon delivery drivers.
yeah, I mean, there's something like that. They're bringing the gifts to the baby Jesus, and they're from Amazon because, of course they are. My wife hates this with a passion, which just makes it even more something that I love. So that is my happy place. How about you?
Yeah, my happy place this week is actually my condo in Florida. As everyone can see, I am in a different space this week, a little bit of a different room again. And that's because I'm nice and comfy in lovely Florida. I try to spend a few weeks here every few months while we're temporarily residing in Rochester the rest of the time. And this visit happened to fall in December when Rochester is bitter cold. So this is quite lovely. I uh,
Rochester is bitter
I
cold
love being
all winter
here and
long.
visiting. Yeah, it
What?
is, and it starts uh early and it ends late. So, uh,
Well, you ready to get onto the news?
I am ready to get on to the news. Just happy to be in the condo. Oh, I did say I would explain. So I
Oh,
have a seasonal plus internet plan on the internet. So we're working with my seasonal plus hold plan internet right now because I did not switch it over in time for this, partially to avoid paying the bill and partially because I didn't think about it and it worked last time I was here. So hopefully this doesn't break. I'm seeing the percentage of upload drop precipitously. It's what is it, 99 and now it's at 44. So it's hovering, and we'll see how it goes. And that's it.
keep
So
our
yeah, let's get
fingers
into the
crossed.
news.
Well, before we
Yeah,
go on, I have an important question for you. Have you been to Three Rivers yet? Four
it's called
Rivers?
Four Rivers.
I don't know how many
Four
rivers there are. All I know is
Rivers.
there's barbecue.
Four Rivers. I have not been to Four Rivers this visit yet. I've been to my favorite Italian restaurant, Papa Joe's, and I've been to my favorite Japanese restaurant, Totoya, and I've been to where else did I go? We went to. Have you ever been to Fogo de Chao, the Brazilian churrascaria?
I've been to a Brazilian steakhouse. I have not been to that Brazilian steakhouse.
Okay, so that's like a one. I mean, they're all relatively fancy,
They're
but
all the
that's a
same, right?
particularly fancy one. Yeah. And so we went there. That's where Jing and I went with her parents when I went to get her in Jacksonville, and it's delicious. It is very tasty. So I've been to a lot of places. Last night I went to my favorite Indian restaurant called Curry Bowl. That was very tasty. And then tonight, I don't know. We'll have to see. Have to see what we do.
Pickles.
Uh,
Go to Pickles,
but I've
get
not
some
been to Four
pastrami.
Rivers yet. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right,
let's move
let's
to
jump
news.
into the news. All right, is this one me? Am I starting this one
It
off?
is.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Netflix enters into an agreement to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery for a total value of $82.7 billion. There is likely to be skepticism from U.S. regulators on this move, but given the surrounding environment of how many streaming services there are out there, and the general vibe of regulation in the current administration, there is unlikely to be a successful block attempt here, as we all saw with the Activision Blizzard occurrence a few years ago. They tried and failed there. So, not looking at a successful monopoly claim, but in this case, Netflix will now become the owner of the film, TV, and game rights for Harry Potter, the owner of Mortal Kombat, plus the owner of the entirety of DC Comics, not to mention all of the development studios associated with them, including Avalanche Software, who developed Hogwarts Legacy, NetherRealm Studios behind Mortal Kombat, and Rocksteady Studios behind the much lauded Arkham series and the much maligned Suicide Squad. Byron, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's interesting that the TV stations are not going to Netflix, so they're staying separate. So CNN, TBS, TNT, there are some other smaller ones are not going. So it was already kind of weird because when the streaming side of Warner Brothers was split off, you lost some of that TV streaming capacity. From
Mm-hmm.
a personal standpoint, it's going to be weird because Netflix is the broadcast partner for WWE wrestling, and Warner Brothers Discovery is the streaming provider or broadcast. I guess broadcast and streaming, because broadcast is with TNT, TBS, and
Mm-hmm.
streaming is with HBO Max, AW. So I don't know what that's going to mean. I've heard they're going to keep the two separate, and HBO Max is going to stay a separate, at least for the time being, from Netflix, which is interesting. The other thing that's interesting to me is that Discovery is staying separate. So Discovery Plus, what happened a while back was Discovery, I don't know how they got to be this big, but Discovery bought TBS, Warner Brothers, all that stuff. And they're just selling out the HBO Max side of things. And I think Discovery Plus is staying separate, which seems weird to me, but I don't guess I understand how streaming works. Sometimes it feels like
Nobody does. That's part of the
yeah,
problem. Nobody understands how streaming works.
streaming is I have a streaming provider, question mark, question mark, question mark, profit. Like sometimes it's important to get the subscriber count up. Sometimes the subscriber count doesn't matter. Sometimes it's good to have ads. Sometimes it's not good to have ads. It
The the
it almost
problem the
feels like a
problem with
bubble.
your meme there is no profit. That's the issue. All of them burn money and they don't make money. The only one that makes any profit whatsoever is Netflix, and it's because it was
Yeah.
first in the market. None of the others are profitable. I don't know if you follow the TV Grim Reaper on Twitter. I don't know if he's on Blue Sky yet or anything, but he is a television ratings guru, where he was the one who used to do the cancel bear on TV by the numbers, and was the one who predicted all, like, in the golden days of television over the broadcast and how that stuff worked. He was the one who like would make the predictions and was usually correct about whether a show was going to get renewed or canceled based on the numbers. And he's always tweeting about the profits and lack thereof for these streaming companies, and how it's pretty much just a constantly collapsing industry, that it's all dying and we don't know what to do about it, basically.
Well, the frustrating thing for me, and this is kind of an aside, is I watch some TV series on streaming providers, but what I really enjoy them for is the ability to stream essentially any movie that I want to at any given time. Things that I don't necessarily want to own, but don't want to pay $5 to rent. I'd like for them to be included in my $15 a month streaming. And that's one of the things HBO has always given me, in addition to, in my opinion, the largest collection of quality TV shows, whether it's House of Dragons or True Detective or what I'm enjoying now, The Chair Company. And I guess Netflix has a more shoddy relationship with TV series. Like it feels like they're not as committed to the series, and you'll get you'll get a season of it, and then oops, the season is gone because it didn't cross whatever question mark dollar amount it needed to cross.
Yeah, and it's funny you phrase it that way because that was going to be what I wanted to talk about next. Is my main concern about this is I don't want the Netflix business people to be in charge of the creativity of HBO, because you're right, HBO is known for their quality shows and their quality production value, and they put the money behind things and they give things a chance to grow and become popular. And not everything runs for Game of Thrones lengths of seasons, or Sopranos lengths of seasons or anything, but usually they give the creatives enough time to create and finish their product, and you don't end up with too many one hit not wonders, if you will, of seasons where you just get the one good season of a show. Like, one thing that stands out about Netflix that I remember is Norm Macdonald, rest in peace, had a show called Norm Macdonald Has a Show, and it was this like little talk show thing that he did on there, and it was so funny. It was great. I loved it. Never had another season, and now he's gone. And that's just the story of how it goes. And then, part of it is also like, think about The Witcher. The Witcher had so much potential, and Henry Cavill, who is notoriously a huge fan of these series, of the books and things, and a big nerd and into all those fun things, is like, nope, I'm out. I'm good. I can't do it with these people anymore. And that's why we now have Liam Hemsworth in his stead. And granted, I really only watched the first season of The Witcher because I could tell it was doing weird things about it. But like, the point is that the structure of creativity and business at Netflix is against the true quality of HBO. Having HBO pop up in front of a TV show means something way more than having Netflix pop up in front of a TV show does. And it's funny because Netflix is the one who started we can actually do quality TV shows. We can make a House of Cards as a quality TV show. And now I see Netflix in front of a thing and I'm like, oh no, I don't know.
Well,
It's
at
changed.
Netflix, they started with, I think, Lilyhammer. And if I remember right, I never watched Lilyhammer, but the entire world said it's amazing that somebody can put out a TV series of this quality. And that's what started the streaming TV series.
Yeah,
Um,
and now it's all the other services. I see Amazon pop up. I'm like, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, got it, great show, it's gonna be good. HBO, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Sopranos, 25, 30 years of history of fantastic television series. Okay, that's good. Even Apple TV Plus is seemingly with their shows now, with their Severance and the soccer show that I'm blanking on again, that we forgot last week and then we remembered.
so in
uh,
terms of HBO shows, have you seen The Rehearsal?
I've not. I've not seen a lot of HBO shows that I probably should have. I just know that they are quality and I would like to see them someday.
Do you know Nathan Fielder?
I know the name, but I couldn't place it.
He's a comedian. He's Canadian. He had a show on Comedy Central called Fielder. Oh, hold on one second. I'm going to pull it up because I've forgotten. Where
Okay.
essentially he would assist companies with improving their business, and it was kind of wacky stuff. Because called Nathan for you. Thank you, Wikipedia. He's the one who helped the frozen yogurt place by making poop flavored yogurt, and that brought a whole bunch of people in. It's a long story. It was all wacky, weird stuff. He's a deadpan comic. I think he's fantastic. But HBO has invested in this show called The Rehearsal. Season one was pretty good, where the idea was he would help people who have trouble with social cues by hiring actors and building sets and running
Oh,
and having them follow the subjects in real life, and then letting the person act out the scenarios. There was a
oh, that's so
one guy
cool.
or girl, yeah, like they were uncomfortable meeting new people at trivia night, and so he hired actors to spy on these people at trivia night, and then he built a bar on a soundstage and had fake trivia nights so this person could interact with these analogs of the people that they were following. So it was pretty good. It was very innovative. Season two, in my mind, and I think some people agree with me, some people probably think that I'm overdoing it, maybe the most genius season of a TV show ever. When I watched the first couple episodes of season two, I thought, this is good. And then something hit me, I think around episode three of it, where my mouth just hung open and I said, This is absolute genius. Um, in a sense, not to spoiler it away for anybody because it's still a relatively new series. He has decided to take up piloting. He got his pilot license, um, and he was wondering, why do airplanes crash? And he started reviewing hundreds of hours of airplane recordings, and in his mind, one of the biggest factors of airplane crashing was pilots not taking input from their co-pilot. And that was coming up to various things. Some of it was the pilots were being bullheaded. I'm the senior and you're not. It could also be the co-pilots feeling the other side of it. Well, I'm secondary. I really shouldn't speak up. He knows more than I do. And so the idea was to run pilots through this rehearsal game plan so they could be better at either taking input from the co-pilots or as a co-pilot speaking up and giving feedback to the pilot. And the way he does it, I'd love for you to watch it and come back and talk about it. Because yeah, it's an amazing show. And if you've never seen Nathan For You, I mean, it's a little wacky, but it's a good show too. And I can't remember which talk show it was. He has one of his greatest ever talk show reveals when he has to bring up one of the things that happens to him. And I'll look that up and I'll send that to you afterwards. But
Okay.
I'm a fan.
Well, it sounds to me like something really cool and creative and something that may take a minute to catch on, which means that it'll never happen again at Netflix.
It'll never happen on Netflix, correct?
Oh, man. Well, we'll see what happens with this. I'm expecting it to go through game development wise an impact on games. I mean, Rocksteady bombed with Suicide Squad recently. Mortal Kombat 1 died pretty quickly. Hogwarts Legacy was amazing. It was the best-selling game of the year, so that's awesome. Hopefully they're working on the sequel to that and they do more cool things with it. And I'm curious how the new Harry Potter TV show is going to end up being with because they're in progress. They're in production for that. They've got the cast and all of that for the reboot. You've heard of that, right? You've seen pictures and heard of it?
I have. And I mean, nothing's going to change for a while. I think what I saw was it's going to be fall of 2026 before they even think that it goes through. So
Probably.
things in Hollywood take notoriously long periods of time to develop, shoot, roll out. My hope would be that some of the things that Warner Brothers, I think they blame it on David Zaslav, that have happened aren't going to happen anymore, like completely filming a series or a movie and then canning it instead of releasing it for the tax
Yeah.
write-off, from what I heard. I don't know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That was definitely the Zaslav doing that. There are reasons to do that in some ways. The reason you do that is if you don't think it's gonna make money. But why wouldn't like the taste of what it was is like maybe the Batgirl movie. Okay, I can understand. But that Looney Tunes movie, I am so excited for the Looney Tunes. Do you know the Looney Tunes movie I'm talking about? I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan. I love Looney Tunes.
I think I've heard,
Um,
but I don't remember much about it.
it's Coyote
The
versus
Batgirl one.
Acme.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about that. That's what it was.
And funny enough, I think it was Netflix. Netflix bought the rights from HBO for that movie. I'm pretty sure it was. I know someone bought. I think it was Netflix. So that movie is going to come out uh soon. But it's just like yeah, that movie's going to do amazing. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I I don't know if you've ever seen Looney Tunes Back in Action from 2003, I think, with Brendan Fraser. But I love that movie. It's so funny to me. I just like Looney Tunes. I like Bugs. I would much rather watch a Bugs Bunny cartoon than anything Disney with Mickey or Donald and any of them. I so much prefer Looney Tunes cartoons over those.
TV shows,
And
yes. I'll say that there hasn't been a good Looney Tunes since the original Space Jam, but the old Looney Tunes stuff is fantastic and probably better
so
than old
funny.
Disney shorts. But like Disney movies are in a league of their own.
Yeah, I mean Disney movies. I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not talking the movie section. I'm talking specifically like the little short cartoons, the little animated
Yeah,
cartoon bits. Yeah.
yeah. Old
But
Looney
all right,
Tunes are tough
Byron,
to beat.
they are for sure. Mel Blanc did all the voices for a long time. All right, Byron, let's move into the next news story. This one's over to you, sir.
Yeah, Tencent has agreed to halt production of Light of Motoram, a game Sony accused of being a slavish clone of the Horizon series in a story from Eurogamer. Um, this is interesting to me. Go ahead.
It's promotion, not production, just so we're clear. The story says
Oh, it's still
promotion
being
as well.
produced? Okay. Yeah, then
Yeah,
I just misread that. So they're still doing it, even, but they're just
they're
not
still doing
promoting
it. They're
that
just
they're
not
doing it.
correct. Yes.
Yeah,
If you look
I
at the
mean,
URL there, it says to halt promotion, and I saw
and I
that
did read
because
the story.
I remember hearing this, and then I saw your news note on it, and I was like, wait, he said production, and then I looked at the link, and I'm like, nope, it says promotion in there. So I actually corrected it in the news story piece in the document too.
Thank
You
you.
still
Yeah,
read it
I
as
read it and
production.
everything, but this is super interesting to me because this is not the first time that there has been an accusation of copying a game. Power World, I guess, fought off a lawsuit from Nintendo about, and we think we talked about it,
It's
capturing and
ongoing.
storing creatures. Um, and I think that there's a larger movement of just copying things, especially in places where IP doesn't exist the same way, like China. And they made fun of that in Silicon Valley for a while. You can't just make a Chinese Facebook. And Jin Yang says, I just did. So it's the same thing with this. I saw the pictures; they're linked in the news story. We can put it in the notes. It looks like a slightly more cartoony version of the Horizon series. And I know international copyright law is a weird thing. It depends on where the country is. It depends on if they signed off to the appropriate treaties. And the relief that you typically can get if you're an American company would be not allowing it to be sold in America. But what you can do outside of your borders is pretty difficult.
Yeah, so with Light of Motorum, I actually think it looks kind of cool. Like if it wasn't such, I mean, I might still even try it even if they lose the lawsuit. I'm not that much in Sony's camp that I'm not going to play a game that looks kind of fun to me. But the Light of Motorum is interesting because there is evidence presented that Tencent went to Sony and said, "Hey, we want to make a Horizon game and set it in our own thing and like do our own spin on it." And they were like, "Nah, thanks, but no thanks." And then they still went and did it anyway. Or presumably they started doing it first and then they said, "Hey, by the way, we're doing this thing. We want to license your IP." And then Sony said no, and then they kept doing it. So that's an interesting approach to it. But yeah, I you're right that international treaties are a large part of how intellectual property law is governed across borders. Nothing would ever mandate Sony put it on its platform. That's the funny thing is Tencent can do whatever they want, but Sony doesn't have to put it on its platform, at least not yet. As long as these are still walled gardens and closed off, Sony can say no, we don't want you on our platform, and at that point you're cutting 100 million people off of, or almost 100 million people off from their user base, which 100 million people is a lot of people, but for a game like a Chinese made game like that where they can just do it in China, like that's nothing. It's nothing compared to what the user base could be when they put it on a PC. So the real thing is, you know, what will happen with this lawsuit? Where does it go? There's more and more interesting things happening, but agreeing to stop promotion is an interesting step because that is an affirmative step being taken. They are saying we're going to stop doing this thing that we are doing right now, and that is odd because normally if they're really that strongly believing in their strategy, I would say they wouldn't do that. There's no reason to do that unless they were ordered to do it. So we'll see where that goes. And then in terms of the Pal World thing, that's still an ongoing lawsuit, just so you know that there is still a lawsuit happening there. We were talking about some patents that were being
Patent.
re-examined that Nintendo had, but that doesn't throw the lawsuits out until the patents are either invalidated, and then it depends on if those patents are the ones that are the subject of the lawsuit. Um, and Nintendo's lawsuit is patent based, whereas Sony's lawsuit is not about patents. They're not claiming they patented Aloy or patented the mechanics of Horizon, which you can't do anyway. You can't patent Aloy. You could patent mechanics to some extent, I suppose. But what they're suing over for Light of Motorum is not something that they could file under as a patent claim. So this is a totally separate type of lawsuit, and yet it's still inspired by the same type of claim of somebody copied something that we were doing. It's very
Yeah.
fascinating to watch the two lawsuits happen side by side.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're different angles, but the idea behind them is the same thing. Let's take
Yeah,
something popular and make our own version of it.
for sure. I will say, having seen people play Power World a fair amount because a good friend of mine was playing Power World on stream for a while, and what I saw her do was nothing like what Pokemon actually is. There's no the only there's more similarity in the looks of some of the creature designs than how the game actually plays. um, in that because you're using guns and building farms full of human slaves that you've captured in your slave Pokeballs. It's crazy. It's a crazy game that is not Pokemon at all. uh,
Well,
because Pokemon is simply going around doing your battles, going around doing your battles. That's not this. This is a full-on survival crafter game with a Pokemon side element to it. It's barely different than what Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth did with the Sujimon. Like it's
and
basically that.
Nintendo's only claim has been you can't use a ball to throw and capture monsters and then resummon monsters by throwing the ball back. That's, I think, really the only angle that they've tried to push with Power World, right?
It's that, but giving it's that, and then giving the sub commands to the in a turn-based format. That was the patent that was being called out in the when we talked about a couple weeks ago was the giving a having a character give a command to a sub character on the field. That was one of the other patents that they were uh going as well. But yeah, it's the ball, which for Pal World's sake, they just got rid of the ball. Like they just changed it, and that's not an issue anymore. It's not you don't use the ball anymore in Pal World. They fixed that. They like patched it out. And so the other underlying thing is the sub commands, giving a character a command and then giving the command that character commands other characters. That was that other patent. So yeah,
That is not
that's what they've
unique
been
to
approaching it at.
Pokemon.
No, not at all. Not
Well,
unique and not the first.
I don't intend on playing the game unless they cast Ashley Burch as the main character. So, Ashley, please come and do our podcast. And to you with the final news story.
Yeah, thank you. Last news story here. Tim Kaine, the creator, producer, and lead programmer of Fallout 1 and co-director of The Outer Worlds 1, has returned to Obsidian Entertainment, the veteran developer has announced. Originally joining in 2011, he worked as programmer on South Park: The Stick of Truth and Pillars of Eternity prior to his work on The Outer Worlds. After that, he entered semi-retirement, working for various projects, including The Outer Worlds 2, on a contract basis. He now returns as a full-time employee, as announced on his own YouTube channel, Kane on Games, which is a good name for a YouTube channel because his name has the rhyming to it. So, what do you think about that? Any thoughts on Tim Kaine returning to Obsidian?
I don't know Tim Kaine directly. I've played a little bit of Fallout 1, but not a ton. I've played. I thought Stick of Truth was a fantastic game. I liked it a ton. And Outer Worlds 1, I enjoyed. Haven't played Pillars, but obviously he knows what he's doing with games, and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
he can bring some of the mojo, maybe fix some of the problems that we had with Outer Worlds 2 in a future game.
Yeah, it's funny because whatever he did, and as much as I have issues with Outer Worlds 1, the issues I have were not really with the things that you would imagine a director would be in charge of. Like the writing is not something in the director's direct control. He can criticize it or comment or critique it, but the writers are still the writers. They write what they write. Whereas something like the skill point system and the management, that's to me something that you'd spot and be like, wait a second, I can see what you're doing there. I don't think we should go in that direction. Like I don't know the finer details of what a game director does, and from what I do understand, a game director's role is different on every studio. In every studio does it their own way. So I don't know how hands on he was, but it's cool to see him come back in that way. And I love Pillars, as we all know. I've talked about Pillars many times. One thing that I didn't say in the news story when I did the write up that I remember reading was that he has at least one game that he did work on since before he was back with full time with Obsidian that is going to ship. So he will be credited somewhere else on something else uh, in the future that is not Obsidian, and that will be from his contracting time. And I don't know if you saw any of this story, but he said that people are never going to be able to guess what he's working on. That it's not like whatever you think I'm working on, that's not it. I'm working on something totally different. So because a lot of the speculation was that he was going to do Fallout or something related, but it seems like that is not the case because that would be the first thing people would guess.
I hope it's a collectible card game.
I hope it's not another card game. There's so many card games. There's so many card games and roguelike games and card-based roguelike. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Too much. Too much cards. No more cards, people. Please, 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 please. No more cards.
I'm eagerly awaiting
But
Baltro 2.
did you play Balatro? I never even touched it. I don't
Balatro.
have any interest.
Oh, it's fantastic. I played through it many, many, many times. I did not get all the achievements, but I played a lot of it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Didn't
Yep.
appeal to me at all. Maybe if they made a Balatro 2 and it's craps. Maybe if it was a craps game, that might be fun. Where you have to throw dice and you get craps hands, you know.
Probably less so for me. Well, let's move on to what we're playing. And I'll start out. As some may know, I've been playing a decent amount of Nier Automata. I streamed live last Thursday night, so it's out on the channel if you'd like to go watch it. I recorded yesterday morning. I don't know how much anybody knows about this, more than I do, most likely, but I got through the desert stage and I met Sephiroth, which was pretty cool. I've been enjoying the game a lot. I like the top-down side scrolling shooter part of it. The RPG part is above average. I'm enjoying it, but not as much as the shooter. But I'm an old school shooter fan. I know there's story to be uncovered. It seems like everybody's an android. I don't know if the people who live on the moon are humans or if they're more androids or what. But everything
I
else
actually
is
know these
robot
answers because I don't care.
And,
so
yeah, so because I am interested. It's an interesting story in some way, shape, or form. The upcoming AI apocalypse will probably put us in the same position, so I might have to fly to the moon. I don't know. I hope not to find Nazis there. If anybody's seen that, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but there's a fantastic movie where we find out that after World War II, the Nazis flew to the moon and they have a base on the other side of the moon. I'd have to look up the name, but it's a stupid, fun movie, and
it's called Iron Sky.
Iron Sky. It is an Iron Sky. I really enjoyed Iron Sky, but that's where my little Nazis on the moon joke comes from if you hear me talking about it. So I intend to stream again on Thursday night around 7:30 Eastern time if anybody would like to watch that. And if I play it, I will record it and post it. There were some issues with the playthrough earlier. Part of it was HDR and part of it was the microphone. You have to use different levels for when I'm recording the podcast and when I'm doing this. So I'm working through those as a novice streamer. So please bear with me and turn up your volume if you need to. Otherwise,
it was fun to try
to
listen to you, and I was like, I can't hear anything you're saying. What was that? I can't hear, because when you were doing the crew stream last week,
yeah,
whatever it was, I was like, I have no idea what he's saying this whole time. You talked for 2 hours straight, I think, and I didn't hear a word of it when I was watching the recap. It was so funny.
As long as you crank up your volume, you'll hear it. But yeah, I've
no, you don't, because
that.
it makes the game louder too. You were just it was like the game was up here and you were here, and so it's gonna stay that no matter what.
So you can call it Byron streaming video games. You can also call it Byron learning OBS Studio live, because that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay. But what are your thoughts?
I have been playing...
Tell me about Nier. Nier. Talk about it.
I did. I talked Nier. I think it's great so far. I'm 3 hours in. I don't have a whole lot more to talk about. It could be a little prettier. I'll say that. I know that it's a world in ruin, so maybe it won't be prettier. I haven't gotten a whole lot into the crafting. I haven't gotten a whole lot into buying new weapons yet. So there's still a lot to get through. I've done 2 zones. They seem pretty small zones, so I guess it's more bite-sized, which is fine. I'm eagerly awaiting more top-down shooter parts because I really love that part.
What's the basic premise of it? Because I actually know the answer to those questions, but I don't know the premise of the game. What is the premise of this? What are you off doing? What is your goal?
Right now, I don't 100% know. I've been given small missions to do. The first mission you had was a questionable target, and on the way there, your entire squadron, who were in flight suits, were destroyed except for you and your support android called 9S. And you had to destroy this gigantic oil rig monster robot. After that, you returned back to your space station. I think it's a space station. It looks like it's in space. And you got sent on another mission. I had to meet with some resistance people, and they've asked me to help out, and they asked me to go take care of robots in the desert, which I took care of. But in terms of overarching story, I don't have a good beat on that yet, other than I'm helping the resistance and trying to get back to the survivors who are on the other side of the moon.
What is the resistance resisting against?
It seems like the world's been taken over by machines. I
See.
don't exactly know. It's like I said, it's early in the game. I don't have a lot of clarity on things. Um,
That's fair. I'm just curious. I want to learn. If I'm curious about what's going on.
yeah, so you play a robot or an android called 2B, and she's dressed sexy. All the girl robots or androids are dressed sexy in the game. I think that's part of the appeal to a lot of people. And you have a support robot called 9S. I keep saying robot. They're androids who follows along with you, and he contributes to battle, kind of, sort of. You have a big katana that you swing, and you've got a little pod that shoots, and you're essentially a battle robot. I'm assuming that's what the B stands for, because there's also the A series, and I guess A stands for attack or assault.
Hmm.
And there's the O series, which is operators, and they're the behind the scenes mission people who check in on your status and tell you checkpoints to go to and things. Um, I think it's funny, and I comment on this, which nobody may hear because of the volume level, is the game beats you over the head with there's no autosave. You have to manually save anytime you want to save. By the way, did you know there's no autosave? Make sure if you want to save that you do it manually. Hey, before you go out, be aware there's no autosave in this game. It's like, okay, you're really knocking the fourth wall down here to let me know that I need to autosave. I had an autosave. And because you're an Android, they make this pretty clear. When you die, your consciousness is uploaded to a new version of yourself, but because of that, you lose your items. So it's a little bit Dark Soulsy, where you die and you can go and recover your body and get your items. There are computer chips that upgrade you. Like, you have to use computer chips to show how many hit points something has or how much damage you're doing. You can get ones that give you 2% offensive output. Um, Things like that. You can buy more, but you're limited by the amount of, I'm assuming, memory that you have. So you have to fit these chips into available memory. And so it displays kind of as a big block, like allocatable memory. And there's even like defragmenting of it. So if you've got this much memory and this much is usable, and you've got like blocks here and here, you can essentially auto defrag it, like you remember the old hard drives, and stack them both on top. Then you have the memory down here. It's interesting so far. Things are expensive. I don't have a lot of money. I think the disappointing thing for me is I got an item that makes it so animals don't run away from me, and I've got bait that supposedly lets animals allow me to ride them. I've encountered some mooses, and the mooses have not let me ride them. They don't run away from me anymore. Sometimes they will attack me, but I really want to ride a moose. So yeah, that's a lot of it. It's a lot of the game is 3D exploration, um, adventure RPG. There's not a lot of choices to make it level up. It's more about buying and
That's okay.
equipping equipment and computer chips for your Android. Um, in between stages, there seems to be a lot of the top-down Project Raiden type shooter, which I thoroughly enjoy. And I
Yeah.
would love if there's more. The one thing I do
But
know about this game is that you don't play once. You have to play multiple playthroughs of it to actually
I
complete
think
the
it's like
game.
6. I think it's like 5 or 6 playthroughs.
I think it is. So I don't know. Maybe the game's not that long. I just finished the second stage, and yeah, I
I
joked about it.
think I
Go
was
ahead.
just say I think the game is long, but I think that each playthrough is a different length. Like, some of them are longer than others. Like, the first one is the longest, and then the others get.
Yeah, and I joke about Sephiroth. The boss of the desert stage looked like Sephiroth. Like it's uncanny. He didn't have a giant katana and he was naked, but outside of that, Sephiroth. Yeah, big naked Sephiroth lookalike. Well, he's more like a Ken doll. He doesn't have all of his parts. Android. So androids, aren't they human like? There's cyborgs are a combination of humans with robot parts. Androids are robots who are designed to be
I love.
human-esque and be almost indistinguishable for humans. So RoboCop would be a cyborg. Obviously, 2B would be an android. Bishop from Alien would be an android because they're essentially supposed to be humans, but they're computer machines. And robots are essentially dumb robots. They don't have personalities necessarily. They're not supposed to be like humans. They're more single task based. Somebody feel free to roast me in the comments about my lack of sci-fi knowledge and how I need to read more Asimov. I always forget how to pronounce his name. Isaac Asimov, right? Yeah, close enough. I know what he is. The name sometimes gets me. But yeah, feel free to comment below about what you think about my stellar or lack thereof knowledge of robot, android, and cyborgs. I don't. Yeah, yeah. Most people don't seem to care too much. Data's an android. Don't forget, Data's an android, and he's different than Data because one is his name and one is not. I probably lost Joe on that one. Mm. Yeah. So other stuff. Yeah, the Next Generation is my favorite Star Trek. I'm not a huge fan of the original. I'm not a huge fan of the ones that
Love the original
afterwards.
so much. So
Deep Space
much.
Nine was pretty good, but yeah,
I've only seen the original all the way through. I've seen some of TNG. I've seen little bits of others, but yeah, I need to watch them at some point. I intend to. I do. Um, I have William Shatner's autograph somewhere.
that is pretty cool.
But yeah.
I'll
But so
move
you
on to
got
the
other
other
games you're playing
games.
too, right?
Yeah, and I'll be quicker on these because there's not as much to talk about. I've still been playing more of the Crew. I still like the Crew. It's a lot of fun racing game. I've not done any kind of live competition. Um, I did complete this week at least the first round of of the opponent races. So there are different racing crews in the game, and each one has 5 different members. And the goal of beating them 1 through 5 is they give you hints about who the big boss is. So think
Mm-hmm.
think like hunting missions in Assassin's Creed, where you have to kill people and then you find out more about the next target. It's like that, except for racing, which Ubisoft
Ah.
apparently has the license for because they've done it in Assassin's Creed. And each one has different characteristics. So like there's one that only uses Italian cars, so they're little Fiats and stuff like that. There's one that's all American muscle cars. There's one that are European cars, and you have to use a similar type of car to race them. And each one gives you more information. And I
Can you
completed
race
those,
any
and
mooses?
no, you cannot, but I do have a Volkswagen bus, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I've
thought maybe if you
I've
couldn't
gotten
ride the moose in Nier, you could ride a moose in Motorfest. Who knows?
nope. It's still just cars and airplanes and speedboats. I've gotten through all the first set of playlists. There are further ones to do, but I think I have some prereqs to knock out. Specific cars are required for specific things. Some of the playlists
Mm.
gift you cars to run with, and some of them don't. I got plenty of money, so that's fine. I just need to go and do it once I run out of things to do. But it's still a great game to sit down and play for 30 minutes, feel like you've accomplished something, and move on. And it feels like a living game because there are other people who are playing live while you're playing single player, and you see them driving around. And it's nice because you don't actually crash into the other player cars; they go through you like a ghost.
Right, the ghost. That's yeah. That sounds like it's a good system because I definitely would crash into people. I'm not a good racing
Oh,
game player.
there are NPCs you can crash into, and that's one of the
Oh yeah.
frustrating things with these street races where you have to go against the other crews is they're on live roads and they're randomly procedurally created by the computer whenever you start the race, and it
Oh.
never fails. When you have a sharp turn coming up, there will be a car coming the other direction and there will be a car in your lane. And thank God there's a rewind function in the game because that always frustrates me.
Yeah, that reminds me of how in like Outrun, the arcade game, you're making
I
the
know.
turns and then they're just coming at you all of a sudden and there's no draw distance, so they're coming at you extremely fast and you have to like quickly dodge. And the only reason I have any reference for that whatsoever is because you have to play that game to get some 100% in Yakuza games. So that's the only reason I have any recollection of that whatsoever is because I deal with
And
that when I'm doing Yakuza Flats.
Luckily, the crew on my PC has a really good draw distance, so it's only a problem when you're turning tight corners. Otherwise, you can plan for things and you can go in between and you can use your brakes, and it's pretty good.
So you're someone of your generation hasn't lost their reflexes yet for driving games.
No, I'm still a fantastic driver. I'm not that old yet.
I know, I know. But and I think you played some Guild Wars Reforged, didn't you?
I did, and to kind of bury the lead, one of my Steam friends popped up whenever I was playing this week and said, "Guild Wars, what year is it?" And my response was, "Well, it's Guild Wars Reforged." And Guild Wars Reforged is essentially Guild Wars with slightly cleaner graphics and better UI that works up to at least up to 4K. It may work to 8K. I don't know. I don't have one of those screens, but the gameplay is very similar. The world is almost exactly the same. I've played probably 3 to 4 hours of single player, and I'm waiting to find time to play with a friend of mine who also got Guild Wars. And he said to me, "Hey, I don't know that I have a lot of interest playing this single player, but I would like to play with you, and we just have to find times to make our calendars sync up." But yeah, it's still fun. Guild Wars. I never played Guild Wars 1. I played Guild Wars 2. It's still a good game. Are the graphics challenged? Yes, the graphics are challenged. Your shirt and your pants are, yeah, there's not really shading. So my character has purple pants. They're just all purple with, like, I think the cuffs are maybe white or something like that. There's no shading. There's no shadows on the characters really. There's minimal in the world, but it's kind of fun. I mean, it's a MMO style game. It doesn't have to be an MMO. It can be single player, but there are other people playing. You can play with them. As far as I know, there's
Yeah.
not a subscription because I haven't paid one.
It sounds a lot like how Where Winds Meet operates, where like you can pretty much do it all solo, but you can have people jump in to help you. For the audience, he did show me what the game looks like. That's why I went challenged with quotes around it because it is but ugly in a lot of ways.
And
Uh, and it
I
really
wouldn't.
does resemble like a game from 2000.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little disappointed whenever I booted it up and said, "Oh my gosh, this is what it looks like." And when you turn, your character just does this number.
For the
But there's
audience
still
that's
some
not
charm.
watching, Byron is turning slowly, but without moving any parts of his body other than the direction he's turning.
Yep, just swiveling in the chair.
Just a swivel.
So that's
Uh,
it for Guild Wars for now. I'll continue to play it. It's nice to pick up and play for a little bit, and I'm hoping to play with my friend some. So
yeah,
yeah,
you'll have to tell me how it is when you play with someone, because obviously playing with people can change things up a lot. So
yep. So how about you? What you been playing this week?
yeah, so I do have one thing that I'll talk mainly about, but I just want to say I have continued to play Where Winds Meet a bit. It's still really addictive. I've almost completed their first battle pass season. It's like 80 levels or whatever, and just running around the world gives you levels in their battle pass, and it's fun. And the reason I was thinking of it when you said you can play it solo or with people is because I play this game mostly solo, but occasionally I get to a part where I'm fighting a boss in like a story or a side story quest, and they can be challenging, and they'll actually like have the ability to call for help on the ground like nearby, and you'll summon an ally or something. And I want to talk about something that actually irks me with this game a little bit, that I hadn't realized what was happening until I got to this boss yesterday. uh they put the very first time you fight a boss, they put a debuff on you. I think it's called Inner Demon or something like that. They put a debuff on you, and the debuff drastically reduces the amount of healing that you can do to yourself with one of the weapons that is a healing weapon. And I'd experienced this before, and I was like, why am I not healing myself? I'm healing for like a dribble when I'm supposed to be healing for a chunk, and it just wasn't doing it. And so I was like, wait, what is that? What did that say? Because I'd never noticed it before. The debuffs are at the bottom of the screen above your health bar and really small. It's kind of hard to spot them. So I looked it up, and that's what it does. And apparently they do that so that the first time you fight the boss is like extra extremely challenging, and it's intentional. And I don't like, that's such a why are you making it that hard for me the first time? And it's almost as if they're doing it to try to encourage you to have a co-op person come in and help because you can summon
Huh.
someone to assist you. And I don't like that. I don't mind having if I'm struggling on something, I don't mind asking for assistance for it, but I made the choice to pick the fan weapon that heals me. Don't punish me for that. Let me use the weapon that lets me heal myself so that I can do this fight and be successful at it if I want to. Because there's a whole bunch of different martial arts styles. I didn't have to pick that. I could have picked one that didn't heal, and I could have unlocked other. You can unlock multiple, so you pick two at the start basically, and you can unlock more as you go by exploring. If I got to that point and I didn't have the healing fan unlocked, then I'll just go and unlock it, and then I'll come and do it myself. Like no one is getting an advantage by having the healing fan that other people could not get. And so it's just very frustrating to me that I now have this worthless weapon that I've leveled up really high. Like I've got my defense spear and my healing fan to keep myself alive because I'm not great at games like this sometimes. So I chose two ways that give me the most keep aliveness, and one of those ways they're just like, no, we don't want to help you stay alive. And so what I ended up having to do on this boss was I had to summon someone for help, and even with this person's help we almost died. And he messaged me afterwards and he was like, sorry, lag. And I was like, all good, we got it. And I'm thinking to myself, is it my fault that he's lagging because I'm the host and I've got like 1 megabyte down or whatever, 1 megabit down. So I was like, so in the end we got it in the first go with the assistance. I got close, and that's another thing that irks me in games: boss fights without checkpoints. This fight is 2 phases. I didn't know it was gonna be 2 phases. He only has 1 health bar, so I got his first health bar down, and then it goes through a little cutscene thing, and I'm like, yeah, I beat him. And then it's like, no, now you fight the frenzied version of him, and then I died because I had a debuff on me that didn't let me heal myself, so I was already screwed in that way. And then he's frenzied, so he's attacking faster, and I died. I'm like, oh well, I'll just go and do it, assuming I'd get to start from the frenzy, no, starting from the first level again. So I had to redo the whole first one to get to the second one again. And I don't like when games do that, because what happens is you waste time and you never get to learn the fight that you're struggling with, because you are doing the fight in the front over and over and over again. And then it takes you 5-10 minutes to get to the second fight. And it's not fun that way. I hate not having checkpoints between
Or
phases in boss
how
fights.
about this? Why not make it a configurable option so the people who want to
Yeah,
have the checkpoints in between can do it, and the people who want the get good struggle can redo it every time?
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I got good at doing that first one because I tried it a few times before I eventually called for help, and I got good enough to like get through the first one. But I did not want to waste the time because I have other things to do. I don't want to waste time on a random single player game on an optional like it wasn't even a main story boss. It was just some side story that I was just exploring, trying to enjoy the game. So I said, nope, I'm just gonna call for help. And then the guy came in, helped me out. We got it done, and then I think that was pretty much where I stopped playing for the night because it was late at that point. But yeah, so Where Winds Meet, still having a good time with it. I don't have a ton to say. Do you have any questions about what I'm talking about with this? Do you want to know anything else, Byron, before we move on?
No, but I did watch the Video Game Donkey episode of Where Winds Meet this last week, and it was pretty good. I recommend that. He
What did
enjoys
he
chopping
say
the
about it?
bamboo. Oh, he made fun of it. Yeah, I mean, he made some of the janky comments that you've made about it, and how it's
So
supposed to
janky.
be a AAA game, but it's not really a AAA game. I mean, are you familiar with Video Game Donkey?
I know him, but I've never watched anything that
He
he's done. I
doesn't
just know
review
the name.
games. He records himself playing games and making silly comments and doing
You mean
funny
he
things.
dunks on the games?
Essentially, yeah,
Video
he's
game donkey.
hilarious. He does some stuff. Um, the Skyrim one, if you've never watched that one that I referred to last week with Thomas the Tank Engine, is still one of my favorite videos. Um, I can't remember the name of the game, but he played through that Square game that came out a couple years ago, whatever Wonderland, that came out on the
Oh,
Switch.
Balan Wonderland.
Yeah, Balan Wonderland. And yeah, he played through it and had a video for that, and that was a very good one because that's such a crappy game. Which I remember reading, I think 2 weeks ago, sold a copy. Like it registered on the sales chart because somebody intentionally went out and bought a copy
Sorry,
2 years after its release.
Balan Wonder World.
Yeah.
Wonder World.
I think I lost your video, Joe. You may be gone. There you go. Pop back up.
Sorry, Balan Wonder World is what it is.
I don't think you're able to web surf while you're streaming because it chokes out your bandwidth. You disappeared for a second.
Yeah, sorry about that. I could hear you still.
Good. So the audio still should be there. But yeah, I recommend his channel. If you like people making fun of video games, he's somebody to follow.
Yeah. Okay. So my next game here is, you ready, Byron? Are you ready? Are you excited?
Let's go.
Trails in the Sky, first chapter. Finally getting to play this game. I can't remember if I've mentioned the story or not before on the podcast, but I ordered the Steelbook edition from Limited Run Games back in June. It was supposed to arrive on launch day. It took a full month before it actually arrived because the games got stuck in customs, and then they had to be assembled in the US, and then they had to get shipped to Limited Run, and then they had to ship it to us, and Limited Run sent us like 4 messages or 5 messages throughout the entire month with updates, and it was horrible. It was a nightmare of communication. It was just ridiculous, man. So
in what year is it story? Like, didn't I play this game like a decade ago?
Yes, this is a remake of the very first Trails game, and as you said, my web searching is not good, so if you want to look up when the first game came out, feel free. While we're
I know I own it. I'm
this.
scrolling through my Steam catalog looking for whenever it came out.
It is a
when
re-release.
I search, it makes clicky.
It was re-released, I believe. Let me see. I can find it on my phone here really quick. Trails in the Sky, and
does it
Trails
have like
in the
a
Sky is 2004. It's 2004. Trails. It's Legend of Heroes. Trails in the Sky. If you want the full
Legend of Heroes. That's why I couldn't find it under T's.
Yeah. Yep. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky is the full name of it. And it is so I bought this game, like I said, through Limited Run, had all of those troubles, and then because of that, I never ended up getting to play it when I wanted to because, well, it wasn't there when I wanted to play it, and then I had so many other things to do. By the time it got to October when it arrived, I had Ghost of Yotei to play, and I had Outer Worlds 2 to play, and I had so many things, so this was just backburnered, and I finally said, I'm just going to set it aside. It'll be a nice December game to play along with Pirate Yakuza when I finally start Pirate Yakuza soon. What are you smirking about? I see you smiling there.
I want to share this real quick. Here's my Steam library. By the way, it is here's one of my pet peeves. It is the Trails or the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. I hate services that don't drop the T when they're alphabetizing. But I was thinking of you because I saw this pop up in the little list of all the things for Trails in the Sky. It's 2003, and I finally played Trails in the Sky. My involvement is I have played 17.4 hours, but it's probably been 10 years since I've touched it. But yeah.
So, Trails in the Sky, first chapter. I'm about 8 hours into the game now, and I'm loving it. First of all, I love the characters. Everyone is so it's so great. But Byron, I don't know what you remember of it, but this game is wild. It is wild. Do you have any experience with Trails besides that one game? Is that the only? That's it. That's all you've done.
It's the only one. Only one
Okay.
I've played. And I don't have a lot of memories about it. I remember it being a pretty good game, but there was something that frustrated me about it, and I don't remember what that was.
I couldn't even begin to tell you because this game is just a ground up remake, so I really have no clue. Are you interested in trying these games and would you want to do this? This is a straight up turn based JRPG. It has an action combat system that you do for smaller, weaker monsters, but the big fights, the big enemies are turn based JRPG. Would you be interested in trying this?
I prefer turn based RPGs to action RPGs, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, no, I know you do. But it's also very anime heavy, and so I'm just curious if you're interested in this one.
I don't care. I mean, I'm just not attracted to the anime style.
Sure.
I don't love like the chibi or whatever style like we talked about with the Final Fantasy
this
whatever game.
The Dragon Quest. You're talking the Dragon Quest 7 reimagined.
No, talking about the Final Fantasy Pokemon game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember
I don't
now.
remember
Yeah,
which one
the
that one
little.
is, but yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
something that I'd be interested in. The problem with it is there are so many games which I want to play.
I
Like somebody
know.
got me a copy
I
of Red
know.
Dead Redemption this last week that just it's on the list of
Oh
things that I want
yeah,
to do, but I also
someone
have
told me
to
about that.
go through Nier. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm doing my best to not touch it. I did load up Nightmare or whatever because I do want to see that, but I essentially ran it and
Undead
said, yeah, this is
Nightmare.
going to
Yeah,
run good on my computer, and then I stopped because I'm dedicated to Nier. I want to get Nier done.
that's fair. I understand. It was on sale. It was worth the $20 or whatever. Well worth it to get you a copy of that game because you haven't
We'll
played
talk
this
about
that.
that in a minute.
But yeah. So like I said, this game is wild. It opens up, Byron. This is the opening cutscene. Okay. This is no. There's no spoiler here. This is how the game literally opens. You open in this house with a little girl named Estelle, and her father comes home carrying a boy in his arms who's like passed out or whatever. Looks like he's Estelle's age. He's a child, but you don't know that he's carrying a boy because he's got him like wrapped in a cloak. And he talks to his daughter and he says, "I got you a surprise." And I'm like, "What?" And then he reveals that it's a boy. And I'm like, "Well, that was a weird line." Okay. So then he brings him over to the bed and rests him down, lays him down so he can rest, and he's out unconscious. And the little girl, obviously, Estelle, is very confused. And at one point, she's like, he looks like he's hurt, but but Dad, what is going on here? And she stares at him and she goes, "Why did you bring him home, Dad? Why is he hurt? What is going on here? Is he your secret love child? Were you two-timing mom?"
That's the first thing I think of.
And I'm just like, what is this game? And that's the
I
opening scene. And then
I hope the
a
dad doesn't
few
try to bring home a cat.
and then a few minutes later in the same cutscene, because the opening cutscene is like 15 minutes long. A few minutes later in there, the little boy wakes up and he's all like, then they're chatting a little bit and talking back and forth, and he starts yelling at one point, and they're like, "Don't yell, rest, you need to rest." And then he calms down a little bit, and then he starts yelling again, and then he says something like, um, I don't know, but that's not what really matters. And then she jumps up and 2 foot kicks him in the face and then goes over to him and goes, "No more yelling." And then
That's how
the little
siblings are.
boy, and then the little boy goes, "But what you did was way worse than yelling." And I'm just like, what is happening here? And
I
there's
don't
like, this
remember
is
that from the original, but yeah, that's weird.
but it's so great. It's like, I'm not like, what is happening, like I don't like it. I'm like, I'm saying what is happening, like this is amazing. I love this. And I'm loving every minute. I mean, I was like 5 hours in. And so what ends up happening is, without again major spoilers, still the opening piece of the game is that they end up adopting the little boy and basically becoming like brother, sister, stepbrother, stepsister sort of thing. And uh the dad, and is there, and he's raising the kids or whatever. And then you go out into town because they're becoming bracers, right? And bracers are like the heroes of this game, like that's what you are. And in the opening of the game, when you're like exploring the town, you're talking to people. In the opening exploration of this town for the very first time, no less than a half dozen times did somebody make a a brother sister romance relationship joke between the two of them. And I'm just like, why is this happening? What is going on here? What is this? And I know I've said that 3 times now, but I do that. I've been doing that every time that it happens. I've got some clips, man. I've got to show you a couple of these clips. They're just ridiculous. So yeah, so this game is wild in that regard. I love it so far. It's kind of hard. I know I read online it's hard in the early going because you're just playing as Estelle and Joshua, the two main characters, and then it gets easier when you start getting a bigger party. But my goodness, am I struggling sometimes in some of the turn-based fights?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that part that it was a little difficult. I probably got up to like four members of the party or so because I was 17 hours into it. Yeah, maybe I'll have to pick it up. This is kind of funny. So I have one achievement in the game, and the achievement is called "Why is my present a boy?" So that feeds right into what you're talking about.
That's what he says. He's like, I got a present for you, Estelle. A boy. It's the boy. It's so
A
yeah.
lot of
It's
kids wish
so
for that, but
so it's a bit challenging, like I said. It's got so many systems, very intricate. The orbment system, like how you like give yourself abilities and boost, and it's got this really cool turn-based system where it's up on the side and the turns can change based on like using abilities like delaying the other side and whatnot. And I've noticed that you can get overwhelmed immediately if you are not fast enough, if your speed is not fast enough, you can get hit with some abilities that just like knock you down the turn order to where you're getting attacked 3 times in a row or 4 times in a row where the other side goes before your team is ready to go, before it's one of your characters' turn, and you're done. If that happens, you're out of luck.
good. Because a lot of games allow you just press button success. And I like games that require a little more strategy. I'm going to lose this fight if I don't use some support skills, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I hit my first boss fight. That's where I basically beat the prologue. That's what I have done so far is I beat the prologue of this game. It took like 8 hours. It's a big prologue. And in this prologue, you fight. The final fight is a boss. I'm not going to spoil what you do there, but by this time, I get a third character. One of the other people will join the party. From what I understand, people come in and out of the party, and they're not there the whole time. Like they come and go, except for Estelle and Joshua, who are always there, which is good to know, I guess, because you don't want to like use your items to boost people that are gonna leave your
Leave.
party. Yeah. And so I got this third party member, and this third party member is super strong, has all these really, really cool abilities. And uh, I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to get through this. No problem, right? I got stomped the first time I did this boss fight, man. I was stomped. And then I was like, okay, I need to be smart about this. I need to figure this out. Like, what am I doing wrong here? And I realized that I need to get a better grasp on the systems of the game because what happened was I had all of my party members in this really close spot, and then the boss, who has 3 ads around her, at the same time, this boss goes over and drops this. They have arts. Yeah, all the characters have arts, is what they're called. Basically, magic. And magic, each magic spell you do has a certain length of turns that it takes in order to prep it. So sometimes you can cast it and it'll be done, boop boop, and it's over. Healing spells tend to be that way, but attacks usually you prep the art, and then the other another turn or two will have to go by, and then your art will be ready. So the boss had this art, and got the art prepped, and then the turn goes by, and my characters were right nearby, and the boss was in front of all of my characters, and the art was cast, and it just wrecked us because we were all grouped up, and it was an AOE art. It wasn't a single target, and just obliterated me. And then I spent the next turn trying to heal up, and then the next time the boss got another art cast and did the same thing again. Just and I was done.
So can you station your characters before the battle begins? Okay,
No,
so
not before the
that's
battle begins. You can station your characters as the battle goes on. So this wasn't the
and,
opening turn. This was like in the
and
middle of the fight.
but you can move and act in the same turn, or is okay?
Yes, you can move and act in the same
Because
turn.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
remember that.
yeah. So you have a range of movement that you can go around for each character. And then you have the whole battlefield that is only so big as well. They you can't run across the whole world in the turn-based battle. It is cordoned off. There's no loading screen or anything. It just cordons off the area. Um, and each character can move a certain amount of space. But and it's a pretty big space. You really don't have any issue with that. But you can spread your characters out. And part of what you need to be careful of is the abilities that you do will move the character. So I have so Joshua has this ability where he charges in a straight line with his swords, right? He goes zoom right through, and he'll hit all of the enemies in that line. There's a lot of AoE in this game. It's very heavy on area of effect spells and abilities. You have to be using those if you want to do any sort of actual damage to things. And so you use this thing. So he goes zoom straight through, but his positioning is not where he started, it's where he ends. So he has relocated himself. So some of these enemies explode when they die. So if you use that and you kill the last enemy and you end your turn in front of that enemy who just died, he's going to explode and deal massive damage to you. Does that make
This
sense?
reminds me of it reminds me kind of like a strategy RPG. King's Bounty is not the one that I'm thinking about, but something similar to that.
There is definitely a level of strategy of being tactical about your character placement. Um, I did not play it, but it reminds me of the footage I saw of the Mario and Rabbids game, the second one where you move your characters around freely. I think
XCOM.
that's a yeah, like an XCOM kind of thing. There is an XCOM layer to it in a lot of ways. But it's cool because you can factor that kind of thing in. Like you know that's gonna happen. So you have to look around and figure it out. The one thing that I don't think there's a way to tell yet is I don't know how much damage an ability is gonna do to a character before I do it. It'll tell me if they're weak to it or if they're resistant to it or something like that, but I never know exactly how much damage a certain attack is going to cause to my enemies. And I don't know if there's a way like I'm missing something there or if it really is just you just have to do it and figure it out on your own. I'll have to play with the system some more because there's, like I said, so many, and they take notes about things like in universe. The characters are taking notes about all the enemies they fight so that they can study up and learn how to fight them and be better against them and whatnot. And I guess I need to look at that little notebook a little bit more
I
to really
like
learn.
that's like in Monster Hunter, right? And I like that where you can review things that you've learned and say, "Oh, its weak spot is its head," or to quote
Yeah,
a scary movie. What is it for? Their weak spot is their heads. They're powerless without them.
I don't know.
Nothing. You've
No, I've
never
never
seen
seen it.
Scary Movie? Ah,
No.
yeah, Scary Movie 4, and I'm going to try to keep the aside short. It's a combination of a bunch of horror and horror-esque movies, and one of them is Signs, and the aliens come in, and one of the characters swings a shovel at the alien, knocks his head off, and says their weak part is their head. They're powerless without it. It's a comedy. It's
Yeah, I've heard I'm familiar with them. I've just never they never
Williams
interested me
Brothers.
because I don't do horror, so even comedy horror doesn't really.
They're not scary. They're not scary at all.
I know, but that's like they're referencing scary movie. Like they wouldn't meet, like it wouldn't register to me because I wouldn't know
It's
the
still
things that they're.
still funny.
Is it okay? That's good to know
Yeah,
at least.
it's good
But
stuff.
yeah, so playing the game, you take these things into account. There's so many systems, and the notes are you can hit the on the PlayStation. It's the touchpad. If you push the touchpad, you bring up everything. All the history of tooltips, every piece of information that they've ever taught you just shows up all at once, and you can filter through and not filter, but you can sort through and read through and refresh yourself. They actually have something that I don't think I've ever seen in a game is they have a page just dedicated to explaining what acronyms are. You know, BP, AP, CP. It just tells you what they mean. ACC means accuracy. Like it just explains it all to you. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool because there's a lot of games that don't do that. So I give it a lot of credit for having this very in-depth tutorial review system here. And you kind of need it because there really is so much because you have your regular attack that you just like swing your sword, and then you have your CP, which in most games that are have a CP, it's a healing system, like a Tales game, like Tales of Arise or whatever. But CP is your like combat points, and you use certain types of arts to you with combat points, but not the other type of arts because there's two different types of arts. There's magic arts and there's not magic arts, and I don't remember their finer names. I'd have to look at the list again, but they all have their own actual name. And the CP are arts that are you can use that turn. They're instantly used that single turn. There's no like charge up for them, but they are spent and they have to regenerate as you do things. So it's like it's kind of like an active turn-based system where like the more you attack, you build up your ATB gauge in like Rebirth or Remake or whatever. It's kind of like that, except there is no active attacking. It just builds up as you do things. So you know the next turn, if you use your regular attack, then you build a CP and then you can use your CP and then you use an art and the art will build CP back up. And then you have your EP, which is your mana system, your magic, your mana, and that is limited and that doesn't regenerate at all without a spell, or maybe there are spells that regenerate, but without an item or resting, that doesn't regenerate. So that's how you get that, and that's how you cast your magic arts. And the magic arts have elements to them, and each element is like fire and wind and all those things. And certain enemies are weak to certain elements, and they deal more damage. earth, that sort of thing. Uh, but the reason I say all of this is to get back to that boss fight. And so in that boss fight that I was in, that I got stomped that first time, I had put together some spells, because the way you add spells is you equip orbment, ORB meant, like armament, but orbment, to your character, and by attaching certain orbments to your character, you give them the ability to access certain spells. And one of the things that Estelle had access to was this like Earth Shield ability. I think it might have actually been called Earth Shield. And it's a big AoE that you can use to put an Earth Shield around your allies in the fight. And let me tell you, Byron, I am so glad that I cast that spell, because that saved my neck. I cast it twice in that match. But you have to remember, this is a spell that's going to take your EP, which doesn't regenerate. So that's a less, that's one less attack magic that you can use. And it's going to mess with the turn order. So it's going to change where your character is in the lineup, because you're casting a spell, which readjusts where you are. So there's a lot that you have to factor in. But this Earth Shield, man, I tanked. All my characters got hit with a major hit, and they all tanked it. They took a little damage, but they all tanked the hit in the end, because I had the shield up. And that's how I ended
If you're
up
not
beating
using it for
that
the
that
boss fight,
boss.
yeah, if you're
Huh?
not using it for the boss, what are you saving it for?
And there's nothing to save it for. I like you said, people don't always use the support abilities and things. I tend to play games where I'm just gonna, smack. I'm just gonna attack. Uh, and I don't always think, attack and heal. I'm not always thinking about the defensives, like, oh, boost this and shield that. And in this game, it seems like you need to. It almost seems like you have to do that, which is really cool. And it's tough. It has been tough so far. I think it will get easier as I learn the systems more. What I am curious about is if all of the other Trails games have the same systems, because they're remaking Trails in the Sky 2 that's coming out next year. And I'm curious if it's got the same system or not. So has what I said sounded like something that you'd want to try? Like in the new version, not go back to your old
I
one.
mean, I mean, I go back to the old version to be perfectly honest. I don't know the difference, but I own the old one, so why would I buy the new one? Um,
Well, the
I mean,
the images that you saw on Steam, that's the new one.
then
When
maybe
you
I
were
own the
looking,
new one. Maybe it converted because that was in my store
unlikely.
page.
It was probably an advertisement, because it's a remake of that game that you own.
In library, Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky is already in your Steam library.
Yeah,
Price 19.99 in
yeah, you're
library.
looking for first chapter is what it's called, though.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I would not spend another $20 to get it. I
Well, it's a
if
full
I was
price
running out of
game,
stuff to
so
do, oh good lord, hell no, no, I'm not paying that. Especially when
I
I own
paid.
the other one.
Yeah. I paid like 85 for it because I got the steelbook. So
I mean, yeah, that's not a brag in my opinion. Like that's excessively expensive for a game that's a remake, and we'll get to this in a minute. A game
yeah,
that
we will.
is 10 years old.
20, 21 years old.
Mine
Came out in
says
2004.
2017. I thought
That's the
I don't
PC
know
release for it.
2014. Oh, so yeah, I never played the. I only played it on PC. I don't have any
Yeah,
knowledge of the other ones.
I think it came out as a PSP game first, if memory serves.
Gotcha.
But I
Well,
I like the story in this game so far too. This world is very interesting. You're set in the kingdom of Liberal, Liberl, Liberal, and there's little
like
cities
books.
in there. Yeah, and there's little cities in there that you're gonna go and visit, and you join the Bracer Guild. And the impetus of the whole story so far is really just you and Joshua want to join this guild, and you've been training to join the Bracer Guild because your dad is this like legendary master senior bracer or whatever. And then he gets called off to go on a mission somewhere else. And then you go through the training and you get acquainted with being a bracer. And then you set off into the world, because part of setting off into the world is in order to become a senior bracer, you actually need like a letter of recommendation from all of the guild branches in the country. So you got to help people, and it's very much like a go help people um, slice of life kind of thing, where it's not, you're not doing anything crazy. You're just going out and you're helping someone kill a monster, or you're going to transport an item, or you're acting as a bodyguard. Like that sort of basic, simple task is how you start off. And I don't know anything about how it gets crazier, but I know it gets crazier, and that's exciting. I'm all in on this so far. When we're done here, I will probably go and play that game because I didn't get to play it yesterday. and I'm excited to dive into it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about it though, because it's really good. It's a really good game, man.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing about it more upcoming.
I'll have a lot to say as I progress. It's just a question of how much I'm able to spoil.
Not
I
much.
wouldn't want to spoil anything. Yeah,
Don't
I don't
you
want to
don't have to worry
spoil
about me, but
anything.
don't ruin it for the fans. Both of
I
them.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would never spoil things like that. But you, maybe I'll buy it for you. Maybe you'll have another Steam game in your library.
Don't buy it for me, please. I've got the original. I'll play the original when I
The
have
original
time.
is not this one. This one is different. It's better. From everything I've
It's
heard about it, this is a giant improvement over the original game.
Yeah, my Steam backlog is so big. So let me work through that, please.
I'll think about it.
All right, let's move on. We've got a little more to talk about outside of the games we're actively playing.
Yeah,
Sound
let's
good?
jump into the wild card then.
Yeah. So in news this week, Hi-Fi Rush, which if you've never played it, is a fantastic game. It's losing its de novo anti-tamper in 2026 for, they claim, stability and efficiency reasons. I hate the idea that de novo is ever in this thing at all because it is a single-player game. It's not any kind of anti-cheat thing. It's merely this copy protection in the year of our Lord 2025, I guess 2024 when this game was released, but still, it feels like this is going to be more of a trend for games that aren't live action games, aren't competitive games. And a lot of it, I think, is going to have to do with Steam Decks and Xbox Allies and the upcoming Steam Cube, more so on the Steam side because they run off of a flavor of Linux that doesn't allow kernel level support, which a lot of these anti-tampering applications require. And on top of that, Microsoft is going to be getting rid of a lot of kernel level access after the CrowdStrike issue from, I guess, last year. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping that this is going to be more of a trend. I hate things that slow down performance, that make it more difficult to play a game and can cause, in quoting the developer, efficiency and stability issues. I know that I've
Yeah.
complained about the crew taking over a minute to boot up because it's
Yeah.
waiting on their anti-cheating part to load up, and that's just annoying to me. So I'm curious of your thoughts on this, Joe.
Yeah, so I want to say that Denuvo is anti-tamper, but also anti-piracy. It does do both of those things. I don't know if they only chose the anti-tamper version or whatever, but it is also for piracy reasons. So that's what I was just checking on my phone to make sure that I was thinking the right thing. So I'm not sure exactly what version they had implemented in Hi-Fi Rush, but I'm fully on board with you on this, Byron. I hope that your prediction is true because the people who are going to pirate, they're going to pirate. You very rarely prevent piracy with anti-tampering, anti-piracy software, but you're definitely going to scare off sales.
Yeah, and I'll
They're
disagree with that slightly, and I'll get back around when you're finished with your thought.
I was going to say you're definitely going to scare off sales of people who don't want to deal with those poor experiences, who wants to play a game that they paid money for that the experience is so worse because of the people stealing it. Like to me, I understand why someone's like, oh, that's got the Nuvo. I don't know. I don't think I want to play it there. I don't want to play that game. It's gonna be bad because the Nuvo is notorious in our industry for being terrible for performance of games, and they've never made it workable. But you had a thought, you said?
Yeah, I am not a game pirate. I am familiar with the industry, and I have spoken to people who do, and I do frequent subreddits that discuss it. And what I can say is typically anti-piracy applications are no more than a speed bump to people who want to pirate the game. And I think the most
Right.
effective way of combating pirating is offering a quality product at a reasonable price. And you saw
Yeah.
that happen with streaming. When people used to pirate movies all the time, they had big hard drives array full of pirated movies back in the mid 2000s. And people still did it, but by and large, when streaming was reasonably priced and anything you wanted, you could just go stream,
Mm-hmm.
people stopped
Mm-hmm.
doing it. They don't mind paying for things as long as they're getting something quality out of it and you're not making it a headache to do it.
Yeah.
But people are going back to pirating now because everything's getting more expensive. Netflix is more expensive, Prime is more expensive, HBO Max is more expensive. And when you start making things out of the reach of people and they're still wanting to do it, they're going to find a way to do it. And you can make whatever reasoning and
Yeah.
excuses you want to about why you have to do it. But yeah, I think the winner in this is going to be the people who develop games that are quality games that don't cost $70 to $80 and don't make it difficult to play the games.
Or who that do cost 70, 60, 70, $80 and their quality experiences without bugs and they're finished and complete at launch. Because I think those games are also ones that do well. I don't disagree with anything you said. That was exactly my point, is that you very rarely prevent piracy with an anti-piracy software. Like they're still gonna pirate. They're gonna figure out a way to do it somehow if they want to. And if you want to stop that, then you just need to make it easier for them to play the game and make it more. I mean, whether that's an immediate playing the game, you need to adjust your starting price or putting things on sale quicker, or, just have your own internal business expectations properly aligned with, reasonable people. But you're right, everything is so expensive. I canceled Disney Plus a couple months ago because they were jacking the price up $40 a year. It was going from one uh 59 or no 149 I think it was to 189 or something like that. It was going up to $40 I think. So yeah, it was must have been 149 to 189 is what it went up, right? And that was just Disney Plus with no ads. That's what it was going to do. And I
Yeah,
said to my mom and dad, go ahead.
no, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, I said to my mom and dad, I don't think it's worth it for us to spend $180 a year just on Disney Plus. It doesn't make any sense. And they said, all right, we'll cancel it. So I went and I canceled it, right? And then uh they had a Black Friday sale for Disney Plus for 1 year of monthly subscription to Disney Plus at $15 a month. But not just Disney Plus, it was also Disney Plus and Hulu ad free. And so I went to my parents around Black Friday and I said, "Hey, do you guys use Hulu?" And my mom was like, "Oh yeah, I use Hulu all the time." And I said, "Okay, does Dad?" And she goes, "I don't know. He might." So I asked my dad, and he goes, "I don't. I use Hulu sometimes, but I don't really like Hulu because there's so many ads on Hulu." And I said, "Well, Disney is offering a Disney bundle for Disney Plus without ads and Hulu without ads for $15 a month for a year, which is a total of, it was like $179." And so I said, "What do we pay for Hulu?" And I went and I looked, and we paid for Hulu 13 $12 a month for the ad version of Hulu. So we've been paying $13, 100 and like $20 or a year, or give or take, plus tax, for Hulu with ads, plus $150 a year for Disney Plus. And now, because they had this bundle at a reasonable price at a good sale, we get both of them with no ads for $180 for the next year, like total
And note
for
that
the
price
year.
is for new subscribers and not for existing subscribers, like it always is.
Right. And well, for me, I'd canceled. We were out of Disney
You were
Plus
a
at
new
the time, so
subscriber again. Yeah,
yeah, I was been a returning subscriber is what they classify you as usually, but yeah, I was not a currently subscribed member of Disney Plus. That's correct. And it was
yeah.
just remarkable to me that they offer this bundle. Like, just do that all the time. Like, that should be what it costs. Don't make that the special once a year you got a Black Friday deal price. That's the kind of price that you'll actually get people in at. And instead of, you know, leaving. And like, I had Disney Plus since it launched. I don't know if you remember this, but they had that sign up and buy 3 years of Disney Plus for like a really cheap price when it first
Yep.
launched in like
I
2019.
still have
I
that.
bought that. Well, I mean, yeah, I had that, and they don't do it. They don't do it anymore. Or at least they didn't do it
Well,
anymore for the ad-free
mine's
bundle.
frozen because I get it free with my cell phone, but that's a whole different story.
Right, but you get it with ads. Don't you have ads on it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well,
Hulu's
in
with
any
ads.
case,
Disney Plus is not.
okay. So in any event, I had that. So I'd had Disney Plus for years, and they finally broke me by raising that price again. It's just amazing. It just, it's too expensive. So to the piracy conversation here that we're having about video games, you can't expect people to pay every penny they own to you, corporations. I'm sorry. We have other things we need to do with our money sometimes.
Well, they can
And
and they do. And I'm not. Yeah, I'll tell you that I dialed back Netflix to the ad tier because we weren't getting $18 worth of value each month in Netflix, and coming up in December, because they increased the price, I'm going to be rolling back Xbox Ultimate to PC only Xbox. So
Yeah.
I'll save almost half with that.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I think that things like Steam Deck, if it becomes popular, and the Steam Cube, the Steam Machine Cube there, if that gets popular, because I know that Destiny can't be played on Steam Deck, can't be played on Steam OS because it has a kernel level uh anti cheat thing in there. So I hope that we start seeing these things roll back and we can get more into the freedom loving world that we were in for a little bit. Now we'll see how that goes, but those are my thoughts. Anything else you have to say on the piracy and
No,
all
I
that?
mean, I think Valve is the best example of, you give somebody a quality product at a reasonable price and
Yeah,
they'll spend money on it. Valve makes money hand over fist. They're more profitable per employee than a lot of places, and they do it with a very high opinion from their customers.
yeah, they definitely they do it right, and it takes time to get there. It just takes listening to the feedback and listening to what the people want and trying to make people happy and have customer friendly policies. Valve and Steam was the first place to allow the digital refunds of games. Anything under 2 hours you can return it, no questions asked, really. Like
No
that's
questions
good. Those
asked.
are good policies.
And even if you're past the 2 hours, there are instances where you can get refunds with them. If you say, "Hey, they put this out and it completely changed the game and broke it, and I can't play it anymore," I've heard people say Valve's pretty likely to refund your money, which is pretty
Yep, I've
fantastic.
heard that too. Yeah, exactly. But I've never played Hi-Fi Rush. I don't really intend to play Hi-Fi Rush, but I'm glad that it still exists and that Microsoft's closure of the studio didn't doom the IP for the people who really loved it, because I know a lot of people really loved that game.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't finish it, but it was good. I may play more at some point in time whenever I get
Now
bored, but I
there's no
liked it.
Denuvo.
Now there's a yeah. Now that's what I was waiting on. Yeah, thanks, Joe. All right,
uh,
let's move on to our last topic of the day. I've hinted at this a few times now, but for absolutely no good reason. I've been into remakes recently, with some remakes being free all the way up to full price, and plus when they're split into multiple games, i.e., the Final Fantasy VII remakes. What requirement is there for you to try out things at different price points? What qualifies as full price, and what's a deal breaker for you? And just real quick to put this out there are some games, and it's not really a remake, but No Man's Sky, we've talked about constantly releasing new content that other games would consider to be a complete overhaul or a DLC, and they're just giving it to you free.
mhm.
Guild Wars came out with Guild Wars Reforged. If you owned any of the Guild Wars 1 expansions, or the base game, you got that for free. If not, it was $20. And then all the way up to, I mean, Trails in the Sky is $60. I'm looking at it right now. The Final Fantasy games are what, $69 each, and they split seven up into three different games. And I'll have my opinions, but you go first. Like, what do you think is a qualifying thing for various price points, and what's the deal breaker for you?
Yeah, well, I think there doesn't actually need to be a reason to get into a remake. You said for no good reason, but to me, depending on the remake, they're basically new games. Obviously, that can vary depending on the level of work that any particular team has done into the game itself. But something like Trails is essentially a new game in every way but the main story, which is a big part of it, don't get me wrong, but everything else about how it feels and looks and plays and the voices and all that, it's all brand new. So for me, price point is a tough conversation because I've never really been a price point kind of person. I don't keep price point in mind. It's all about a feel for a particular game. So Final Fantasy 16 is a perfect example. I really love the story and the characters of that game, but I really wasn't a fan of playing the game. That was a lot less enjoyable. So the idea of paying another $30 for the DLC just felt too expensive. But when I was looking at the PSN sale for Black Friday, it was $15, right? And that felt like it was a much more appropriate price for the extra content. And when you extrapolate that out to remakes specifically, it's difficult because that's an across the board standard. I don't really care whether a game has existed before or not if I'm factoring in its price, if I'm thinking about what price it's being sold for. It's all about how do I feel about this game. I mean, I would have bought the Mass Effect trilogy, they released all three of those games in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition for $60. I probably would have bought all of those for $60. I would have paid full price for all of those games again if I really needed to, because they did enough work in them and they made them playable on modern hardware. And I love those games, but I wouldn't do that for every game. And maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would have seen $60 at the time and said, $60 for all three. Like each one of those games is another $60. I own all of those. Maybe I'll wait until it's $40. It's so circumstantial depending on how I feel about a game and what the actual work that they've done to the game is. So a thing like Final Fantasy VII, where they split it into three games, I have the collector's editions of collector's edition of Rebirth, and I probably would have bought the collector's edition of Remake if I'd known that I was going to love it as much as I did. And those are like $200. I'm going to end up spending like $600 when all said and done on the 7 Remake series. So
Yeah, that's
price is
outside of
not
what
how
I
I
want to
factor it.
pay. But I will say it with Final Fantasy VII, that's a game that I think is justifiable to charge full price on because it's not just Malibu Stacy with a new hat. It's a rework of the entire game with a plot that is similar but different at the same time. And the game itself is just completely redone. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just we
Mm-hmm.
put new textures in or we bundled the games with other similar games. And the example of that I'll put out there is I saw Gradius Legends is on sale on Steam right now for $24. They're charging $40 for this game, and it's 6 games from the 80s. Most are NES games, and they have the gall to want to charge $40 for wrapping them up and putting them together. And Square's another bad group with some of these remakes. Like they'll moderately increase the graphics quality and put it out for a new piece of hardware and charge full frickin' price for it. And I have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with that. I don't mind if you want to give new life to an old series that deserves it. Again, Final Fantasy VII is one of them that deserves it. And if you're going to put the effort and time into it, I'm good to go on that. Otherwise, if you just want to make some money and rehash something so it plays on new hardware, 20 to 30 bucks I think is a fair price for that.
Yeah, I just think that you can't have a single standard for it in my mind because it's so it's so dependent on what they do. Like I'm telling you, you may own the Trails game, First Chapter, Byron, but everything that I've seen in the 8 hours that I've played this game, and I'm pretty sure it's like an 80-hour game, all said and done, if you do all the side quests and everything, it's well worth a full price. It is well worth the full price because they have overhauled everything about how this game is. I mean, just look at right now. Go look at a screenshot comparison of it. Just look
I
at the
did. They
game and you
they
can
changed it
see
from
what they
2D to
did.
3D. It's no longer pixel and it's now a 3D game.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right. And they
I saw it.
changed the combat system a little bit by adding that live element to it because I believe it was entirely turn-based originally. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, okay, like fine if you're gonna do that. But uh at the same time, it's worth the cost because it's so good. Quality is a big factor in whether it's worth the money as well. I don't if they'd made this and it was a bad game, you can completely overhaul it. Let's use Final Fantasy 7. If they'd taken 7 and they made it bad, right? If they made 7 bad, then it wouldn't be worth anything. It's not worth $70 because it's a bad game. The quality of the game is the factor that matters more than anything else, I think, when it
Yeah.
comes to anything purchase wise for
Oh,
games.
and my issues with Trails, and that's not the only reason I don't intend to buy it, just because I got other things that I'd rather play right now. Even though they changed the combat a little bit, they put a 3D wrapper on a 2D game, and they want credit for a whole new game. And I don't I don't love that. There's too much of rehashing out there because it's easier and it's quicker. And they do it in movies, they do it in TV shows. They'll re-release something or recast it instead of doing a whole new movie. I mean, Disney's been doing this with live action movies. I would much rather see a Claire Obscure come out than a port of something else. But that's just me.
No, I agree. I would rather we have the new games as well over remakes of games, but I think that there comes a time when a game gets so old that it's inaccessible to modern audiences because of something, whether it's because it's a 2D game, or because it has old mechanics, or because its quality of life features are lacking. I mean, they are still making games in the Trails series. They're in Trails of Daybreak, I think, is their latest set of series right now, and they're all connected, Byron. And they're 3D now. They have made this 3D series. As time has progressed, they have made it a 3D series. So it only makes sense to me to go back and update your old games to make it easier for people who want to get invested in this story, rather than ask
Sure,
them to go back and play a game from 2004.
sure, but they're charging the same price for it. They didn't develop a new game. They altered it slightly. If you want to bring people into the series and you think you can do that by updating the original game and making it more modern, cool. But is $60 your price point when you're already asking that for the new games? In my mind, no.
But why do you say altering it slightly? See, that's where you lose me, because this is not an altered slightly game. I mean, changing a graphical style is one thing, but it's a complete overhaul. They didn't reuse anything from the base game other than the writing of the story, and I think even that's been retranslated and cleaned up. So they just made a new game. They took the idea of the old game, of the very first Trails in the Sky game, and then they just made it again from scratch, just brand new.
I don't see it as a new game. I mean, yeah, the artwork takes time. There's cost in the assets, and that's all viable things, but they didn't build a game from the bottom up.
But they
And
did.
when you
It
no,
is
they
built from the
didn't.
bottom up.
No, they had the framework of another game, and they changed the
The
output of it.
story
The
framework, they had the
stories the
story
story's the
framework.
same. Stories
Right.
makes a
It's
game.
this I agree that the story is the most important part of a game, but it also happens to be the cheapest part of a game to make. The story is the easiest, not the, I won't say difficulty, it's the cheapest part of the game because it's the writing. You don't need the technical talent and the technical time that it takes to build a game. You can write your story much quicker than it takes to actually construct the game itself. And they
And
didn't
the
take anything from the existing game and make this game. They just said, here's the story, make the game again, but do it a brand new game. Just make a new game from scratch.
Yeah, I don't want to give them credit for doing that. I don't see it as the same thing.
That's just a difference of opinion, I guess, because I mean, there are definitely games that are not that. Like, I mean, let's talk about Seven. Then let's talk about Seven Remake. In that case, is Seven Remake a new game to you?
I think it's much closer to a new game. The plot is different than the original one, even if it has the same general story. Um, Side missions are completely new. The direction they take the characters, how you involve the characters, all of the side quests, it's completely new. It's not even similar to the old game. They went from a turn-based game to a non-turn-based game. It wasn't like they added, oh, now we have this active part of it. No, it's completely redesigned. The way you use materia is completely different. There's very little other than the characters and the general plot that are different, that are the same from 7 and 7 remake series.
And I think that most of that, and again, I don't have the experience of the original Trails game to say, but I think that most of that is also true for the changes from Trails here. From everything that I've
And
read about this game, it is the only thing it shares is the story itself, and then the basic outline of how combat functions. But Seven's basic combat outline is, it's got the same spells. It's Final Fantasy. It has the same Final Fantasy spells and magic and all that. Like, that's all across the board. All Final Fantasies have the same magic spells and whatnot, right? Like, that's not new.
somewhat, but the mechanics of how you do it are differently in each game,
Yeah, yeah, the
almost.
mechanics change. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that we would need to look into more detail the how the original Trails game works. Either I would need to play that, or you would need to play the new one and then compare the two, because everything I've heard is that this is not a cheap remake of the game. This is a full budget, full development costs to make a new game here, and that's why they would charge, full price for it, and
Yeah,
well worth full price in my experience.
the former is more likely to happen than the latter because there's too much that I want to play that I'm not going to spend the time to analyze Trails 1 versus Trails Remake.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. I'm not saying we're actually going to do that. I'm saying that that would be the best way to really determine what kind of remake Trails is, or ask someone who has experience in both. Commenters, if you know both of these games, please drop in the comments. Let us know whether you feel that this is a remake worth the price. But yeah, I don't. To your original question, I think it really just comes down to what do I feel about that game, and I don't even factor in the fact that it's a remake or not. I just have to feel that it's worth the money, and I feel that way about all games. If I don't think a game is worth the money, I don't pay for it.
Yep, agreed. Ready to move
But that's
on?
it. That's my stance. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, that does it for that. I don't think we have any upcoming games. I think we're in the time of the year where if you haven't gotten it out, it's not going to be out for Christmas, right?
Yeah, we actually have two games really. Well, we have two things to mention. One of them is Microsoft Flight Simulator comes to PS5 this week. As of the day that this comes out, it's coming out December 8th for PS5, so that's noteworthy for PlayStation players.
Hmm.
And then uh, one other note that's noteworthy for me is that the Yakuza Director's Cut comes out tomorrow. Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2 PS5 ports and the current gen upgrades come out as of December 8th as well. That's it for upcoming games. There's nothing else noteworthy, but you're right. Those are all the games that are really worth talking about. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out, but it's all small stuff, little things that I'm not particularly interested in, and I guess nothing really noteworthy for you either. So
No, and I don't know how the Yakuza games are, but my favorite remake games are the ones that say, hey, we updated this for PlayStation 5. If you have the PlayStation 4 disc, just put it in and you'll get all the graphical updates. That's how you handle your customers.
yeah, well remember Kiwami is a remake of a PS2 game, and Kiwami 2 is a remake of a PS2 game, and these are updates to those remakes of those games.
I do not remember, but I'll take your word for it.
And Kiwami and Kiwami 2 are well worth the full price that they have charged for them in the past because they're ground up overhauls. Depending on who you ask, some people would say they're not even the same game because they change major parts of it. So I don't know. I'd never played the original Yakuza or Yakuza 2, but that's it. That's all for upcoming games. I don't have any other games really that I care about, and it seems like you don't have anything to mention either. So I guess
Nope.
that'll do.
Yeah, socials, Radio Free Europe on Blue Sky, and Joe, get your list out.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Joseph_Law_Russa. You can find my writing at Season Gaming. Still playing through the Where Winds Meet stuff, so and nothing has been posted on that yet, but I'll try and get something. It's hard because I am playing Trials now. I want to write something about Where Winds Meet because I've enjoyed it so much. I've got like 40 hours in it or something by now, something like that, 35, 40 hours. It's been enjoyable.
By the
But
way,
that's it
my
for my
wife
socials.
says if you're going to continue to talk about this janky game, you need to start streaming it.
I will consider that when I am in a place that I can stream, which is not where I am right now.
You
With
can do it at like 320 by 240. Come on.
oh yeah. Honestly, the game may not look that different depending on what
I
moment in the game you're looking
we
at.
we need to get out of here, but like the graphics actually look pretty decent. I was more impressed than I thought I would be. I was expecting PlayStation 2 graphics.
No, it's very pretty. They're little like plastic doll in terms of character models, but it's a very pretty game. It just doesn't load in very well. Like it takes a lot of time for textures to load in sometimes, and there's pop in things like that. But it is very pretty for sure.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. Anything else from you today, Joe?
Uh, just remember everyone to like, subscribe, give us some comments, feedback. We're trying to focus a little bit more on the gaming talk instead of the newsy talk. So if you guys like that, let us know. If you don't like that, let us know. We're open to changes. And yeah, I don't have anything else. Just I appreciate everyone for listening. Byron, I appreciate your time here, of course. Hopefully we won't have the weird internet issues next week. I'll have the internet sorted out at that point for our next recording. But I'll be here for the next two episodes after this one as well. So I hope you like that light back there.
All right. And remember, whether it's your gen, my gen, or someone else's, friends can be cross generation. Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, all.